Alright, all you video gamers, welcome to yet another 2D RoboCop Mobile Isolation Trip Edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with a title like that, we decided to go with the mobile game from F.321 himself, Hard Time 2D. And this game, ladies and gentlemen, would be the second mobile game I would be able to get my hands on from M. Dickey's mass collection of games, and probably one of my favorites with all of the shenanigans that took place during it. But before we spoil anything of the craziness that could and will happen during this set game, I think it's time for us to go ahead, get prepared to get that chalk out to count the days until we get released and try to be the biggest and toughest guy in the yard as we get ready to paint the picture. Alright, this video game story began approximately 3 years ago when I first was able to pick up this game, wondering to myself, what sort of craziness did M. Dickey add to this game this time? Because prior to all this, folks, I played the regular version of Hard Time for computers and got in a war with none other than Boomtown, ending up with a whole bunch of people in a prison getting blown up by terrorists. So I said, maybe the same thing won't happen in the 2D version of the game, and boy was I right, but at the same time wrong on so many levels. Because while I was playing this game and unfortunately didn't have the full version of the game to make my own character, so I had to settle for the characters that they had on screen. And I saw one guy from the Wrestling Revolution 2D world that I could use as a prisoner, and it would be none other than Wally Howitzer, who was gonna go to jail for at least 60 days due to armed robbery and assault. And I was thinking to myself, why in the world is he only getting 60 days for all of this? This man must be a nightmare. I want to use him. And man, oh man, I was right about this guy being a nightmare for a multitude of reasons, because one thing I realized about the 2D version of this game, unlike its 3D counterpart, you can actually lift weights to get stronger, and unlike the regular version of the game, when you get stronger, oh baby, do you get stronger in this game. Cause I got my strength up for this character up to 99, to the point where I was actually able to lift up soda machines and put it into my prison cell. And the worst part about it all, folks, I got so strong in that prison, besides being able to lift up soda machines, I was able to lift up television sets, and when I went to the rec room during one of the lunch breaks that they had, or at least lunch that they had during this game, I lifted up the whole TV, took it back to my prison cell, and dropped it in there. And one of the prisoners would look at me and just say, "Hey, where do you think you're going with that TV?" Until they saw it above my head and said, "Oh, well, never mind, I don't want no problems." So essentially, from lifting all those weights, lifting TV sets, lifting those soda machines, and even a couch to put in my prison, nobody, and I mean nobody in that prison messed with me that day or any time during my 60-day sentence. Now, before any of you at home thinking, oh, he's in the clear, he's gonna make it to those 60 days and get out of prison. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Because near the 5-day remaining mark of my sentence, next thing I know, they would bring somebody into prison and say it was none other than Boomtown. And man, do I hate Boomtown. With all my being, I hate Boomtown. And the second he got into this prison, he would be in the same cell as me. And it wouldn't take him long to mess with me, because I was sitting there, lounging back, watching TV, had even a cell phone and a tablet in my prison cell to keep myself entertained and prevent myself from hurting people in this prison. And he would come along and say, "Hey, that's my tablet. I want it from you and I'm gonna take it. What are you gonna do about it?" And the second he said that, I said, oh, you want to know what I'm going to do about it? Watch this. I jumped off that couch and bicycle kicked him so hard he knocked into the wall and broke the television set, and then the alarm started to go off because when I kicked him, I killed him. I killed the man with one kick across the room, and then I was wanted by the police. Next thing I know, I would hear beep, 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 and then a whole bunch of guards trying to come after me, so I said, screw this, and decided to take a shovel and actually dig a hole in my cell to dig my way out of the prison, and ended up in a wrestling ring of all things. And while I was in the wrestling ring, next thing I know, I would see not only wrestlers, but cops trying to come after me. And the one cop that tried to come after me, I would reverse his arm lock for him to try to arrest me, throw him into the ropes, pick him up in the air, F5 him on his head. He would get injured, and then the next guard who tried to come after me, he would suffer the same wrath as Boomtown and get bicycle kicked out of the ring for me to just run to the next area, which happened to be a beach, where one of the cops who tried to chase me down would suffer a power bomb right on the center of that beach for me to just clothesline the next cop who came after me. And after a good 3 days of being hunted down, and with, I do believe, 5 to 6 cops who died trying to pursue me, I would finally be brought to justice by this giant, oversized, I do believe 6 or 7 foot tall robot-like creature who looked like RoboCop but still had an afro hanging out of his helmet, and it would be none other than Boomtown, who got turned into a RoboCop after I killed him 3 days ago prior to my great escape out of that prison. And he would say, "Oh, Willie Howitzer, or my cell number W4, you're going away for a long time for murder." Then after the loading screen decided to cut off and they found me inside the jailhouse with the judge on the stand, they would side with Boomtown after all this would go down in this new RoboCop form, and I would go back to jail for 30 days for each person I took out during my run of violence, as they called it, and I would have to go back to jail for another 150 days on top of the only 5 days I had left on my prison sentence. And the second I went back in there, my guard that was guarding the prison would be none other than Boomtown saying, "Oh, you deserve to be in there right now." And that made me lose it, because the second that he was talking to me on the other side of those bars, I said, "Wait till lunch. Wait till lunch. When those bars open up, you're gonna find out what you deserve." And the second that door went open and the sound of the cell went, that mother ran for the fields but couldn't get far enough from me, because I would grab him in mid-run, F5 him, throw him into my prison cell, belly-to-belly suplex him off the soda machine, and then pick up the TV and throw it at him, blowing him up, killing him yet again, for the people in the cell to cheer me on and for me to just willingly get arrested for yet another 90 days to be added to my sentence. But after the sentencing with the judge, I just sat there laughing, saying, "Well, I won't have to deal with Boomtown anymore, I'll tell you that much. No matter what tin can they put him in, he gonna leave me alone now." And true to form, folks, after that, Boomtown would be permanently dead after that moment, and I would spend the next 240 days in solitude until my sentence was up, I was released, and I would never play that game again afterwards, because I said if I run into Boomtown again, they're most likely going to give me a life sentence, and I don't need that. And I guess with that said, folks, wraps it up for another 2D Isolation Mobile Prison Cell edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with that, we'll be back with more right after this. So stay tuned.